I'd like to call to order the regularly scheduled board meeting of the Parish Union School District Number 95 Board of Education for Monday, May the 5th. Let the record show that all members are present except for members Isef and Tuttle. The voting sequence for this meeting is as follows: Idle, Sanchez, Bailey, Calvert, and Davis. Audience to visitors, anybody in the audience like to address the board this evening? If not, the consent agenda. In your notebook, you have minutes from the April 7th meeting, a list of bills, and the March Treasury report. Does anyone have any questions on the consent agenda this evening? If not, I entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Idle?
Yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Calvert?
Yes.
Davis is yes. Secretary's report? Superintendent's agenda?
First thing, I want to just mention that we did get a safety grant that Mr. Larson had written for the district, and he has worked with Mr. Roberts, Sam Roberts, on what we'd like to do with the safety grant. At our board convention in Chicago, Tom Tuttle had attended a meeting on a certain type of film that you can put on your glass, a 3M film, that makes it not really bulletproof, but it makes it to where it's harder for someone to break into a building or break the glass out. So the grant was over $9,000. It will do this for all 3 of our buildings. We will be installing that, so I just did want to point that out and give Jeremy some kudos for getting a successful grant approved, and Sam as far as working with them and designing this. So I thought you'd be interested. We just found out, or I had it in the memo. So. And another thing I did want to point out is that Mr. Roberts has been named to the Wabash Valley Football Coaches Hall of Fame. And I was just I thought that was really something. I know they induct you June 26th.
7th.
Oh, 27th? Okay, I think I have a conference 26th, and I was thinking I may not be able to be there. It's a Friday, I think it is the 26th.
Messed up our family cruise.
Oh my gosh. Couldn't you get them to change that? So I just thought that was noteworthy as well, and something I wanted to make the board aware of. And Nancy, if you want to report on that, that would be kind of nice.
So we were kind of waiting on the.
So maybe not say anything.
Yeah.
Okay, but I did want to point that out. So that was a few things I didn't have on the agenda. First, we had resignation. We have 2 resignations. One received a letter of resignation from Kayla Goodwin. She is a special ed preschool teacher at Memorial School. She is planning to move closer to home. She'll be leaving at the end of the school year. We've already posted for that, and actually I got someone that has applied today, so we'll send those along to you, Gary. We also have a Title 1A, Colby Julian, I have one son, who's been a Title 1A at Mayo School, has done an excellent job there, but Colby is an art major, and he's pursuing something in the area of art, so he will be moving out of Paris. So I'd ask that the board approve the resignations of Caleb Goodwin and Colby Julian for next school year.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, Idle?
Yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Calvert?
Yes.
Davis is yes.
Okay, I put information in your packet from Mr. Larson as far as doing an after-school choral program, and Ashley Mayer has applied. She is our band person at Mayo Middle School, and with Ashley's one.
Charity.
Oh, how do I have Ashley's name in here? Okay, so Charity's the one you're wanting, so we need to change the name to Charity. Okay.
Charity Mayor?
Charity.
Oh,
For the after school.
after school, okay. For a stipend to get that course at Mayo School after school.
This mayor will be taking over the special ed choir courses throughout the day.
Oh, so she'll be doing that during the day. Okay, but we do what Charity is what I'm approving for the stipend after school.
Correct.
Okay, so both names must have been on that. Charity Ozier to conduct course at Mayo Middle School after school. So I would ask the board approve that recommendation. So
Second.
Any discussion? If not, Idle?
Yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Calvert?
Yes.
Davis is yes.
We did receive a facility request from the Paris Tiger Cup cheerleaders. They would like to use the Willis Early Childhood Gym and back here for some practices. They're requesting the use for an hour on Monday and Friday mornings from June 6th through August 8th. They need to show us proof of insurance, and I would ask that the board waive any fees attached and approve this request.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, Idle,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Calvert,
Yes.
Davis is yes.
Okay, last meeting, we did talk about, and the board approved some recommendations by Nick Roberts for the softball field to be created behind our building here and for the cross-country team. Mr. Tuttle, who could not be here this evening, had brought up that he would like to see that field named Roberts Field, and I think Mr. Davis, you requested we go ahead and put that on the agenda and actually take a vote on it. So at this time, I would ask that the board approve naming of the new Mayo softball field to be named Roberts Field.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, Idle,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Calvert,
Yes.
Davis is yes.
We did receive several more donations. They keep coming in. Nick sends us an update on those as they are received. I'd like for the board to accept the following donations. $7,000, can you mind if I read this, Nancy? $7,000 from Nancy Zeman, $1,000 from Joe's Pizza, $500 from Larson, Woodard and Hinson, $500 from Paris Family Dental, $500 for First Farmers Bank, Mayo Booster Club, $500, $500 from Keys Realty, $500 from GSI, $500 from Adams Memorial, $250 from Pierman Pharmacy, and $250 from Paris Clinic Pharmacy. I would ask that the board accept these kind donations.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, Idle,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Calvert,
Yes.
Davis abstains.
Okay, that's really all of the voting items. At next meeting, we will be bringing the handbooks to the board with any changes to the student handbooks. So I have that for you to review 2 or 3 weeks early, so if changes are recommended, if you have questions over those. Just for some information, still following the legislation that might prorate some state aid that would be really a windfall for District 95. If you receive the list, we get over $500,000 of new money from our, because of our poverty percentages. So we will keep following that. We are meeting tomorrow with just Lorraine and Dave and I with a furniture group that we're going to look at some furniture and items for the new building. That's getting very exciting. I don't know, Nancy, or you've probably been out there, but it's just coming along, and you drive by now, it's just a school. And I know the co-op board made a trip out there, some members who could make it, and our board, many members have been out, and anybody who wants to schedule from our board to go out and take a walk through, you can schedule through me, or Scott Bennett said, just come out. He's got a hard hat and a vest, and just feel free to stop out at their trailer. And it's huge, isn't it, guys?
Yeah, we went out there today, and it's amazing.
I just drove by it, and
Oh,
the time I left to
It's
go
a
to
school.
court,
I mean, it's just,
it's a building.
yeah, it's just, it looks phenomenal.
From the road doesn't do it justice.
No,
You
when
got-
you get
got
back
to
there and
back
you look from
Yeah.
one end,
You
looking
really
down,
do.
it's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. It
It
really
just,
is.
it is.
The
really-
theater's huge. I mean, it's
Right.
been really nice.
And we had our construction management, architects, and administrative meeting last Monday, and representatives from the city and the county were both here talking about 1200th Road and the improvements on that. They've secured dollars to make the improvements to the tracks on the east and west side of the road. Now it's they've got to wait for some things from the railroad, from ICC, to get signed and paperwork to do this work. But that sounds very positive, that at least our road's going to be improved there. And so that was very good news to us. The city is also going to need an easement. They're going to put some drainage through the property, and if I had it, I would ask you to approve that easement tonight, and I'm sure Lorraine will have it approved from her board next Wednesday, but I did not receive that. Bob hurried and tried to get it done. We got it Friday after everything, the agenda had gone out. So they don't need it right now, and I talked to him this morning, and he said, we're not gonna be doing anything right now. Your next meeting in June will be fine, but I did tell him if it looked like they did need our official approval before the June meeting, that I would hold a new meeting and at least get 4 board members here to approve that easement.
Are we getting anywhere on Route 1 with the
Route-
state?
Route 1 with the state, not really, other than Chapin Rose said when they have a new IDOT person coming in, he was going to kind of put some words in for 95. He said there's going to be a change of the guard, more or less, and he wanted to wait till the new head person came in. What we did talk about, and Lorraine had brought this up at our last meeting, we brought it up several times to Aaron Lawson, to other people involved with the roads. IDOT has very, very strict regulations as to when they can put a crossing or turn lane, and unfortunately, their money is so targeted that many times that is because of the death, or this is what initiates them having monies in a pot of money to use. And it's not because they want that to happen, it's because money is so targeted for certain projects that people come at them all the time wanting an extra turn lane or a signal put up or something. Aaron and the group discussed that we would probably be better off going to our legislators, to Adam Brown and to Chapin, and writing them a letter. We want to write a joint letter from Crestwood and from 95, the co-op, and everybody sign it, asking if there are capital dollars there, which there are, always money in, that they could look at that for this district as far as getting some of those dollars to help us put an extra turn lane or a light there, hoping that IDOT might even be able to match something. And so that's what we plan to do, put a little pressure there, or at least, just ask. And if they're for the safety of students, I think we would have a good chance of them really pushing for that.
Can you let us know when you do that?
Yes.
'Cause we'll editorialize it again.
That would be great. That would be great. And so we do want to get that out and make it known. We've approached IDOT, everybody knows it's there, but like I said, Chapin's either going to go back to IDOT, but he wanted to wait, I think he indicated, till the new person came in, because it may not have as much an impact right now. So things are moving along. Just good news and good things. Met with the APT, the officers today. We talked about items such as Common Core and changes in our curriculum and things that are going on, and talked about it's change, and people are not always happy with change. We talked about more staff development, more training. I'm going to bring somebody here for the board to hear a presentation from Effingham at the next meeting, who they've been involved with Common Core for at least 3 years now, and how it started and how they got into it. This is a federally mandated issue for the curriculum as well as state mandated. And I understand it is a lot of change, but we've been working on this slowly for the past 2 to 3 years and going to conferences and trainings, but until you get into it and select a workbook or a supplement, it's very, very hard. So this summer, we're hoping to order our new math books, and just supplemental books that go along with our current math series, to get paid staff to come in for training. So that should help with some of this. Some states are saying they're opting out, and they're saying, oh, we're opting out of Common Core. No, they can't opt out of Common Core. What they can do is say, we're going to create our own test, because they don't like a particular, the PARC test or a test. The test still has to be aligned with all the Common Core standards. Illinois has not chosen to create their own test necessarily, but they don't really have an option of whether they do Common Core or not. It's rigorous. You'll have people tell you that it is. The math especially is higher level thinking, it's more problem solving, it's more written, it's not just a math problem. We are having some teachers tell us now, Carol is here, I'll have her tell you that since they've been piloting and doing some of this, after a lot of frustration, they are seeing improvements now in some of the kids being able to, they're moving into it and transitioning a little easier. So I've got a granddaughter up around Chicago, and she's telling me she's going to summer school this year. She just called me, and she said it was the daggone Common Core math. Because, you know, and she said, there's 10 kids in my class that are probably going. We're not there, we're just piloting. I'm sure they've been using it for 2 or 3 years, or maybe this was their first year, I didn't check. But we will be getting you more information on how many schools have been doing it, how long they've been doing it, what were the pros and the cons, what we think our teachers need. And we're gonna do the best we can with it. But,
Isn't the question about how it's written, I mean, the conservatives don't like the way it's
well,
written?
conservatives backed Common Core. Now that it's an election year, and I'm not pro, con, conservative, you know, liberal, doesn't matter to me. It is becoming a hot button issue in an election year, and the conservatives are now pulling back and making it a huge issue when they voted for it, but they are comparing it to Obamacare, okay? So a lot of your conservative legislators are saying, well, this is like Obamacare, and they're telling us what we have to do. I'm not going to say I totally disagree with any federally mandated curriculum. The intent of this was to make a more rigorous educational system so kids could meet the challenges of the world today, okay? And to also coordinate curriculums across the states. So if you moved from Tennessee or Kentucky to Illinois, you weren't in a totally different curriculum. You all were following Common Core.
So it's a different world, but not curriculum.
Exactly, exactly. Now, is that a little bit hopeful? You know, I don't know. It is change.
I mean, I look at the stuff that gets posted,
Right.
posted, and a lot of it seems to be what they're complaining about is how the problems and how they're addressed, how they're written, that sort of thing.
Yes, and it's going to take a lot of training with staff.
And I figured that had something to do with what you actually choose.
Yeah.
But I didn't know.
We've had a committee that's looked at a math series to supplement and come up with a recommendation that they feel where the gaps are in our current text. We'll still use our text. That they feel this will fill in those gaps. Now the other part is, and I've told staff this, don't panic yet. We understand if we get on board, and Nick, we had this discussion today, didn't we, with the team. We're going to give you everything hopefully we can do to help your students and help you through this. When the first tests come out, I'm not going to say they'll be great, and we may be coming to the board and saying, I'm not, because we're learning as well. I think you'll find that with a lot of school systems, and I think you will see changes. I think you'll see some adaptations to this, like you do with anything that comes down the road. And you know what? Maybe they're right. Maybe, playing this against this is a federally mandated, this is like Obamacare, it's being politically volleyed around right now. I do know that. They're not saying you're going to take it away, actually, I don't think, but it's just kind of like we don't support it. As conservatives, we're not supporting it. And Steve, you've had a first-hand experience.
Parents are having a lot of problems
Yes.
with it. They can't help the kids with their homework. And mathematics has its own language. When you start in the first grade, you learn a series of mathematical terms that means something. And all of a sudden, you change all those terms in the 5th or 6th grade or wherever you change it. You basically change your mathematics from English to German or French or something these kids don't understand because you changed the language. And Common Core is probably a great thing. But I think it addresses the top 30% of the students rather than the students overall in terms of catching on and where they're going to end up. And then again, these are just my opinions, and
It is very rigorous. Now, that does not mean we are not going to have to provide for all of the students, and we understand that, and not all students will be getting this at the same pace, and you're right.
Well, it seems to me like it ought to be phased in at the lower levels, and then the kids grow up with it rather than thrown at them at the 5th grade or 4th grade or something.
And unfortunately,
I plead ignorance here because I'm not smart enough and I haven't been involved enough to understand what's behind all this, and I apologize for that. But I've had a lot of people mention,
right.
and I know. Well, I'll just That's all.
Well, and that's why I wanted to bring in, and we talked administratively with staff about coming in, and we have some teachers very, very comfortable with it. And we have others that aren't, and we're all always gonna have that. But I wanted some people to come from other districts around us, and that's why at the next meeting, we will have some people from Effingham talking about their dealings with Common Core, when they got started from the ground floor, what were their hurdles that they had to go, how's it doing now? And I really don't know if they may come in and say some of them, we're still struggling. You know, I don't care. I want to know from people who have really been doing this, how did this work when you phased it in and at all levels? So we want to.
I heard that they, the big discussion that I was a part of was they're not going to memorize their multiplication tables. I don't know whether that's, and that there was a different way to figure out how to do that. I'm just saying.
You want to tell me when, at the age when they memorize multiplication, will they still be memorizing?
It's like they start multiplication in third grade, they start trying to memorize those in third grade, and they're still going to be doing that, but they're also adding for the kids to be able to explain why.
Not just 2 times 2 is 4. They're going to go have to write it out properly.
Why did you pick multiplication to solve this problem? You know, is there another way?
Was it faster? Or
could you have done addition? Could you have done, you know?
Okay, that helps because I don't think parents understand.
And the concept is that kids don't just memorize, that they still have those facts, but that they have to reason it out, and could you have done it another way? Is that more difficult? Well, yes, it is. it really is. But I think whoever behind all this wisdom, and you know, higher up than I am, has felt like that's what we aren't turning students out to know. That they don't maybe know why they got this or how or what it meant. It was just that they memorized a lot of it, and they could memorize for a test, and they could spout it off, but could they really put it in application? Now, I'm not saying one way or the other, I'm just saying that's where it came from. This is where all this push came from, and it came from a lot of it from businesses and other entities that said we're not turning students out that can do the reasoning. And they're going to work a lot more in groups, and there's a lot more teamwork involved now instead of just kids working in isolation. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge for all of us because it is a change. And you're going to hear it, and you're going to get calls from parents, and I want you to question and come to me. I want you to hear more about it. And Steve brought that up to me. The board needs to hear more about it too, because you're going to be asked. And you're going to get Carmen, what? You know, because if you're not dealing with it every day and you're not in there and have a child dealing with it, you don't know what they're talking about.
Kind of interject some
Sure.
dark humor into this.
Make it humor.
Mr. Jackson has 27 students. He has received 9 new students from charter schools. 3 students left 4 charter schools and 2 were expelled. 8 students have IEPs and 3 students have 504 plans. However, 2 IEPs were modified and 1 504 plan expired. 19 students don't have supplies and 6 students didn't take their medicine today for the Ohio Achievement Assessment. How does this determine Mr. Jackson is a skilled teacher? Write an equation and solve.
I quit teaching.
I mean,
Over.
that's funny.
It's what we're dealing with.
But
That's what the parents are saying.
And it's what teachers have dealt with in many aspects. You have children with all those acronyms, IEPs, 504s. It's funny, but it's not. Check.
In answer to Steve, when I first came here, I think it was 1968, the computer stuff was just coming in at that time, at the very beginning. I was required to teach base 2 and base 6 in math. Now, think of the parent, and my students were all really good, really fine students, really. Think of the parents that had no clue, and that's exactly.
Go home and you know.
They go home and they can't help, and I had to learn it to teach it.
Exactly.
And I don't know how many of these things, Steve, we've gone through in the years that I've taught. I can't name the different programs that come out of.
this and that.
Oh yeah, this too shall pass.
Yeah. But some parts of all of it tend to stay. You know what I'm saying?
But that's good teaching.
Yes, good teaching,
Good
you
teaching
adapt
is
and
the
you.
same in every part of it.
But, you know, Nancy, you're gonna hear more and more and more about Common Core because we want it reported on and we want parents to hear it and we want more parent involvement because you're right. Parents don't know. I don't know how to help my grandson when he gets into school when all these changes are made. So hopefully, you know, I just want you to know in June, we do have some people coming as well. And we're gonna order some supplemental math materials for teachers now so that they can come in over the summer and we can really work rigorously on getting them up to speed so that they feel a lot more comfortable.
Do you think somewhere down the line you might have a thing for parents to come in?
Yes, oh yes, and they're planning workshops and things for parents. Now that as you know, it is very difficult, even with parents, you know, because their schedules are very busy as well, but we do need to do that. We need more things online and more tutorials and more ways that parents can help. Jeremy, did you want to say something?
We have already posted our curriculum online for the most part. Last year, we held workshops once a month on instruction for teachers, inviting them into our school. We try to encourage, and we've done it several months this year. It's hard to get the parents to come in. We actually had a meeting last year that I was really excited about, where we said we will go over everything in your kid's permanent file with you as far as test scores, and we'll explain every number to you. And if I was a parent, I thought, I want to go in and kind of know what all this is. We had one parent show up. And
you may have more that are really trying to help their children come in on some of this instructional things. I hope.
We try our absolute best to keep our parents informed of the changes that are going on, and we've already started the discussion of how can we begin to have meetings with parents that better describe Common Core. We actually did that last year, and now that I think that we're switching our math series out, we start to hear more questions come up. So again, we try to be proactive, and when we're proactive, sometimes people don't take advantage, but when all of a sudden you see a change in your kid's backpack at home, then you start asking the questions, and so I don't want to feel like we're being reactive because we were proactive.
But they haven't really dug into it full force yet.
It didn't have meaning to them until now, so now
until they're actually using it.
We're going back to that point.
Gary?
And the one thing that we liked about all of the series that we looked at was the online piece. You know, there is that tutorial piece there for parents and students who have access, and we realize that, you know, internet is not, we can't take for granted, but
the majority of our parents do have access.
We like those online support tools that were there that basically, you know, those tools were there to help teach the lesson again at home. So that student got home and was struggling, well, there's the online tutor who can help, you know, their student and the parent understand what it is and how to do it, and just that supplemental, they aren't in the classroom, but there's that tutor.
And some people will use it, and like you say, Chuck, and some won't.
What's the address of that? I mean, I didn't know you had online tutoring.
Well, this is what we're looking at now.
Oh, you're looking at it.
Yes, because we understand when we have to supplement, it's going to be difficult for parents as well. So we're looking ahead to the fact that then there will be some online tutorials that they can utilize as well. There'll be things we can send home to help with, you know, with doing this work at home. So it's going to be, and you know, some people will work with that, some won't, some will come into the school, but it is difficult. Parents are very, very busy like all of us.
Absolutely.
It's hard to get them out.
It's when they see the change. Then
they start saying, I've got to do something.
Yeah, we'll do our absolute best. Nancy, if you come in, we'll give you more information than you ever wanted.
Oh, that's what I
You'll be doing a math problem.
No, I won't, trust me.
One of the other things I've heard and read about was the cost. I've seen a lot of districts complaining about the cost. Has it been significant here?
Now, we're going to order more consumables now to use because we don't want to go with a definite text. We picked one that we felt had where our gaps were, see how that goes, because there could be changes at a state level or federal level, and there could be things that get massaged, so we're going to spend a limited amount, but they will be consumables, and before we really, like our Saxon math is a text. This will be more to supplement what they're already doing. So that's what we'll train teachers in, and you can add to that, Amy.
And part of our, especially the younger grades, those in Saxon Math were consumables that was a cost every year anyway. So we're really not seeing a big difference in the
Cost
cost
for us.
for us just to get.
And
Because
some-
that, they're going there.
Memorial, we're saving
Yeah,
considerable amount of money by,
going with this consumer.
right.
And there's been a math committee formed, and teachers are on, of course, on that committee, and they've come up with the recommendation because they wanted to look at every which way but loose and to not commit to something when we're so new in this, that we would have to keep for.
What about the training for the teachers? That will last start this summer?
Oh, yeah, the teachers have been going to training for
Last 2 years.
2 years.
But, I mean,
But for this book, it'll be this
Yes.
summer. We're gonna get the books in.
and they'll be paid when they go?
Yes, oh, yeah.
And they've already,
My daughter-
We have staff development money, and they know that, and they know how much per building, and they'll have to be offered those trainings, and yes, they will be
What
paid.
is staff development? Is that grants that you ask for?
No,
Is that part of your
We have some that
education?
come out of title grants, different parts of the title grants, and we always build into our curriculum budget staff development money for summer work, and have forever, because that's when we can really dig in. Of course, right now it's
Sorry,
Common
guys, I've been
Core.
asking a lot of questions. I'm
No,
just
no,
trying to
no,
have a loop.
But yeah, there's targeted money in the budget, and
Okay.
always has been.
Okay,
So this, of course, now it's gonna be mainly for the Common Core and the math.
after school's out, I'll come and see you, okay?
Yeah, when you're not as busy in all the programs and, but basically, I'm sorry I took up so much time.
No, I'm sorry, that was me asking
No,
questions.
it's a good discussion because it's out there, and the more we can get it out there, and the more parents know that we're gonna try to get you some help as well. We understand it's a struggle, and your kids are struggling with some of it. And like I said, my own granddaughter called me and told me. So, it's not just here, it's everywhere, but we're gonna try to make it the best we can and the smoothest transition.
Just something for you guys to keep in mind, we're gonna add an education page
Mm-hmm.
to the Beacon, and I would love to have somebody write a column.
Oh, okay. I only know German.
But seriously. But
I'll be glad to know.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
that's the way to get
It
to
could be
be.
different people though, right?
Right,
Like
right,
maybe Carol on it, some of the
Right.
curricular changes, and me
We'll
on
just
some of
say that
the
there's
district-wide. Okay,
And some of the school board members, hopefully.
that's great. Yeah, not a problem. So that's the end of the superintendent's agenda, unless anybody has anything else.
Do we have any committee reports this evening? Public hearings and petitions, unfinished business, matters for follow-up, new business, like to revert to prior order of business. Do we have a motion for adjournment? Ivan,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Bailey, Calvert,
Yes.
Davis is yes. Meeting is adjourned.